Okay, so how many more races do we have here? I think we have two, right? I think we have 4 races in total in this tournament, and that was 2 just now, if I remember correctly. Pay special attention to all the XML files you see in the file names scrolling along the right hand side. That's all stuff that you can just, it's just text, you can just modify it by hand if you're able to unpack and repack the game, which of course I'm still working on. I'm currently working on unpacking things and writing up the program for it. I need to fit it into the existing unpacker infrastructure that I have for other Climax formats, which is taking a little bit of time because I have to genericize code, but anyways. But yeah, those XML ones, those XML files are just things, they're just text you can just modify by hand if you're able to unpack and repack the files. And I'm ahead now, like it's the starting vehicle, guys. I guess the game's just going easy on me, but it's going easy on me for longer than the light vehicles did for some reason. Big jump. Yeah, so if you want to like mod the game and do funny, silly things, that's a great place to start. It's just plain text you can modify to like modify parameters, like what positions you start races in. Maybe that's one thing I saw in Stunt Track Challenge by the same developer. What are you doing? Just cut across the whole. Jeez, man, what kind of racing line is that? Also, changing stats of different vehicles, changing which competitors appear in races, maybe the number of... Oh, goodbye fence. Cut through like butter. Or smash through like whipped cream, maybe. Jump over the water, very nice. Maybe where certain objects appear, or whether it's raining, what kinds of terrain are in different areas, or like how different tires perform under different kinds of terrain, all sorts of things like that. Different parameters for different not bad. Parameters for different tricks, like how many points they give you, like what the point decay on them is if you do them lots of times in a row. How quickly the animations for those play, when you're allowed to land them, like at what point in the animation you're allowed to land them without wiping out, etc. I'm allowed to cut it that much, probably not more than that though. So I don't know what your rival color being progressively more red means. Ah, jeez. They're really starting to lose out a little bit on, do some... Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. They're losing some ground, from all my quarreling with these guys. I have plenty of time to catch up still, but need to make sure that doesn't happen again. I was pretty comfortably ahead for a while. I just messed up one turn really badly, and then caught up. If I could manage to, not mess up like that again, I think we'll be fine, and not get too caught up with everyone else. It'd be a pretty heavy landing in a car in real life, I imagine. Turns out, in real life, most vehicles are not made to survive a landing like that. People filming car stunts quickly find out, or ideally know beforehand for that matter. Oh, I'm trying to touch you. Stop touching me. Segments like this, which are basically just how strong is your engine. If you have a strong engine, you win. There's no real technique there as far as I can tell. Like you're driving in a straight line. You can't decide how much you jump. What is with these guys? Man, the AI in this game. Is that him being aggressive? Was he trying to sideswipe me there? But, and the AI in this game swerves like crazy sometimes. Like, sometimes I'm just trying to pass them, and I guess it makes sense if they're kind of trying to keep me from passing them, but they'll swerve like crazy, and then I didn't capsize there, good. But they'll swerve like crazy, and one, I'll end up running into them maybe, but also it slows them down, because they're not driving a straight line anymore, and they're suddenly jerking to one side, which you know, make them start sliding or something. There. I'll say that was a pretty smooth looking slide, even if it's probably best not to slide at all in the first place. Yeah, see, there you go, I was still on the turn. I could have kept that slide going for a lot longer if I wanted the points, but I said no. Stop that. I just stopped sliding mid-turn. Okay. Now we're pretty comfy now, I think, in this race. Sometimes I just get blindsided by a turn a little bit because, I don't know, there's a hill that keeps you from seeing the terrain especially well. But also, I'm still yet to ever address the screen size issue where it's a little hard to see what's ahead of me ahead of time. Even if it's on the screen, I don't necessarily fully like visually parse all of it properly. But once I've done a turn once or twice and I have it memorized, it's just not a problem anymore. Oh, you know what? Sorry, this is a very abrupt time to do this. I was thinking the game was a little too loud for my liking compared to me. There you go, I'll turn it down slightly. I meant to do this before I started recording last episode. Smooth turn, very good. Just reviewing some of the footage, I was thinking, the game's a little loud compared to me. It feels a little difficult to understand me sometimes. Okay, the middle here is not the right place to go. That is funny. The game says you're not allowed to go in the middle there. You're allowed to go on the left or the right, right? Of those... of the pegs, I imagine. It definitely looks that way. It looks like it just forks for a moment. But going between, the game starts getting angry. Yeah, he says you're not on the road. Maybe the... Well, I don't know precisely how this game's idea of what is and isn't on the track. I don't know how it's implemented. Maybe it only has a finite width or something that they can't just say to make wider to include both parts of that. Maybe someone was just being overly detailed in plotting the track. I don't know. I need to at some point, among other things, I haven't actually been working on the, so I guess for a tiny bit of context here, the game that I have the most reverse engineering experience with is Jet Set Radio Future. Especially its mission files, which are basically the game scripting. But those mission files include a whole bunch of stuff. Also, this guy's just catching up to me now. What in the world are you doing, Harrison? Nope. Very abruptly, you start hearing the guy's engine. Stop it. Aha! Managed to block him. But among other things, this is what I was just about to say, among other things, the game has races. Either just going for the best time or trying to race other people. So the game does have to have a system of, you know, like the usual like breadcrumbs and so on, the usual race programming stuff, which is what gets you thinking about some of these things. Hello, helicopter. If this is anything off for Fury 3, there's probably an XML file saying where you appear and what path you follow. I don't know if it says what path you follow, actually, regardless. But, yeah, so in Jet Set Radio Future, the race paths and whatnot are stored in those mission files. I never started looking into all the details of how those work. I should at some point. It's kind of fun thinking about those things and then going off and playing a racing game like this. Also, part of the reason I know how certain details of how races work in this game, or at least its predecessor, is having looked at the XML that specifies things like for each track, how much distance are you allowed to cover while off the track before the game stops allowing you to just go back on the track and be okay. So if you go off the track, the game tells you, hey, you're not on the track, get back on the track. And then you go back on the track, and usually it's happy again, so it just goes, okay, you're back on the track, everything's fine, we won't like respawn you somewhere else or anything. But if you cover too much distance, if the place you come back onto the track at is too far ahead of where you left the track from, the game will say no. It won't actually accept you going back on the track. It'll still say you're off the track, and it'll eventually respawn you. In Offroad Fury 3, the maximum distance you're allowed to cover that way is stored in XML files as well for each, I think for each individual race or course or something like that. Harrison, you're trying, but you can't do it. I like to think. Cool. Oh, a helmet. Giving an award or the helmet. Okay, I don't want to go over time this next race. I don't like going, like, way under time, so... One is, I guess, better than the other, so... Also, if I make all the episodes too short, this series is going to take even longer than it would otherwise, and it's already looking like it's going to be pretty long. The predecessor was pretty long to start with, and that one, well, I did still look at all the stuff in the game, I guess, in that one as well. I loaded all the maps and everything to the best of my ability, just to see it all. But I am doing something comparable here, so... I don't know if I want to buy all the vehicles. I don't know if the game loads all the stuff for a vehicle just when you like hover over it in the menu or anything. It does load the model, it seems like. I guess we'll see. This is gonna be like a 20-minute episode. Actually, this course doesn't look too long by comparison. I guess we'll see. Oh boy, goodbye. That guy, did not take that section correctly. Alright. I'll probably still take him out here for each lap here if I have to guess. It's just kind of a big, windy course. But a couple of really hard hairpins. I think since here, that's probably a pretty healthy way of taking that too. Still on the inside pretty well. Did not slide out or anything. Lost a good deal of speed, of course, to slow down enough to do that, but I think it was pretty nice feeling. Yeah. I feel like so many, maybe it's just because I'm in a slower car or something, I don't know. But so many turns in this game feel like they're kind of, it almost looks like they're trying to be a hairpin turn of some sort, but then they give you like a really big turning radius to work with. Well, no, it's not exactly that, it's that lots of turns in this game feel like you can make them like way on the inside. You can turn really hard on the inside without losing traction or anything. But the turn is designed as if it expects you to have such a way wider turning radius that you would actually need anything but the smallest inside portion of the turn. But yeah, maybe if you have a faster vehicle that comes into the turn at a higher speed. Oh boy. Like here, sure, if you come into this turn really quickly. Whoops. I get it. You might want a big turn to work with. But this next turn, this kind of hairpin here, partly because it's just uphill, so it's like, I don't see how you're going to have a whole bunch of speed that would provide any reason to use the outer part of that turn. By outer, I mean anything but the innermost radius. I don't know. So my thought right now is, after completing this tournament, I'll buy a better bike. ATV specifically, probably. Just because I'm going to be partial ATVs, probably. I get there's the novelty in the two-wheel bikes, but I feel like I have some loyalty to ATVs in the game titled ATV Offroad Fury. And then I can enter a race. But I don't know what. Yeah, I guess. And that race will be Supercross, annoyingly. But yeah, I want to do at least one of each event type. I need to load all the maps for each event type and so on. So I went through that turn a bit too aggressively there, I admit. So yeah, I need to do the Supercross, however it turns out. I don't know what stuff there is to unlock or not by, say, like getting gold on all the championships or anything, so I probably want to try to be prepared to get the best outcome possible for each tournament. I don't know. Two more laps, oh boy. Yeah, if every 5-lap race was just 3 laps, I'd be pretty content. I really just go for the bicycle on that thing every time, don't I? I really should just go a bit further to the right and I'd be fine. Fairly bumpy ride. I do kind of enjoy the sounds of the like suspension and so on jostling around in the vehicle as I'm bouncing around the course. Maybe about, you could also use, I admit I'm not using the handbrake at all. I don't know if I want to use the handbrake there or not, because my whole MO is to just try to not slide. The handbrake just makes you slide. Like, that's kind of the whole idea. Like, the handbrake, you're pulling a brake specifically to make some of your wheels stop turning so that they start sliding. I don't want to slide. Maintaining my grip is usually the fastest way to get through a given turn as far as I can tell. Unless it's a really hard turn. But like, that'd be a harder turn than anything here so far really seems to be interested in going for. For a moment there I was admittedly saying, oh hey, what if I just did a slide to the left for a second here? Because I managed to, without really meaning to, hold a slide for a really long time. But I held it for so long I thought to myself, okay, at this point I'm not even going to try to come out of the slide really. What if I start sliding the other direction so I could actually get a 3 times multiplier on this? Like, give me some nice cash. And it would feel cool. But we've still got Harrison right on our tail. It's annoying, dude, so. I don't know how hard you're allowed to cut that turn. That was a little dangerous there. The game feels pretty strict about that. I have definitely had some very poor mishaps. And it happening specifically on the last lap again would be yet another case of something quite annoying. I managed to lose my spot on the very last lap again. At the very least, this time it's another case where second and third are way apart from each other, so I'd probably at least easily get second, which would still lead to me winning the tournament. But yeah, there you go. My score, only barely lower than Trevor's. Trevor somehow managed to not slide around too much and so on, and yet still got last. I got all that style driving bonus. That's like, I get so many. It doesn't even matter really what my race standing is. I get so much more money from doing the sliding and whatnot. And look at the bonus I get for winning the whole championship. I won about as much money just from sliding around turns and whatnot, just from doing the race, irrespective of my placement. Yeah, unless you have to place to get the stylish driving bonus, I don't know. I won just about as many points from getting gold in the entire tournament. Okay, we are locking pro stuff doing this too, so that's probably another reason it's good to be doing these. You know, because I'm doing pro stuff next in the story, aren't I? So it could be that I can only do stuff later in the story that I've already done in this part of the story. Different event types and whatnot. I definitely want those event types open so I can, load their maps and get money from them, etc. Alright. Speaking of Jet Set Radio, that had a little music sample I recognize from Oldies But Happies. Okay. So, next time, still, why is this menu even here? No one has challenges. Oh, you do. Wait, no, that's just the list of stuff I got, never mind. Yes, challenges just aren't a thing in this part of the story yet. But we won't continue yet. I need to at least do Supercross. I'll buy a better bike for it, because otherwise, how in the world am I going to do well at it? The only way I can win Supercross based off of the previous game is by having better stats than everyone else. Right, bye everyone.